Hey guys, so today we are going to start talking about volume. So last week we spent a lot of time talking about surface area, which means we're trying to cover an object. Well, now with volume, we are going to try to figure out how do we fill an object. So let's say I have this candle right here, and with my candle, I want to paint it. So if I were going to paint my entire candle here, all around the top and the bottom and around the sides, I would be looking at surface area because I'm covering it. But if I was looking for how much wax actually fills the candle, I'm looking at volume. I'm seeing how much wax actually goes into the candle. So when we're looking at volume, when we're looking at our equations, we're essentially finding the area of the base and then multiplying it by its height. So for example, looking at this candle, let's say we put a very thin layer of wax into the candle. And we figured out, okay, what is the area of that circle on the bottom of our candle? And then we added another layer, and we slowly added more and more layers to our candle. If we added up all of those layers, it would give us our total volume. So that is why we take our area of our base and we multiply it by the height. So let's take a look here at an example with some crepes. Okay, so what do you think is the relationship between finding the area of one crepe and then finding the total area of the cake? So what happens is if we can find the area of one layer of this cake, we can then figure out what is the total volume by multiplying it by the number of layers. So if we have 10 layers, we'd multiply by 10. If we have 20 layers, we multiply by 20. So for each slice of crepe, we're adding to that total volume. So looking at our formulas here, let's break down the prism, cylinder, pyramid, and cone equations. So for our prism, as I mentioned, it's the area of the base times the height. So what actually is our base? So our base comes from our two parallel sides that are congruent. So it doesn't matter what way that our prism is laying, whether it's on the side, whether it's on a base, whether it's the lateral side, it's always the two sides that are parallel. So what I mean by that, if we look at our candle, the top and the bottom, these are the bases. Okay, even if I turn my cylinder sideways, this is not suddenly the base, right? Just because this is what it's resting on. The base is the two sides that are congruent, they're both circles, and they're parallel. So if you have something like a pentagon prism, it would be the two pentagons, those would be your bases. Sometimes you have something like a rectangular prism where you have lots of different options for what your bases are. Just make sure they are the sides that are across from each other. So then for our cylinders, the same applies, right? I could say B times H here because for a cylinder, the base is a circle, which is pi r squared. So for our cylinder, it's pi r squared times the height. So in the video you watched before the notes today, you were trying to figure out what is the relationship between prisms and pyramids that have the same base and cylinders and cones that have the same base. And we see that pyramids have 1/3 of the volume of a prism with the same base. So you could fill up a pyramid 3 times into a prism with that same base. So that's why it's 1/3 base times height. So if we had a prism and we turned it into a pyramid, that's where this formula comes from. So again, it depends on what our base is. Maybe it's an octagon, maybe it's a triangle, whatever that base is, we multiply it by, we find that area of the base, the area of the base times the height, and times 1/3. Our cone always has a base of a circle, so our area of that base is pi r squared. So it's 1/3 pi r squared, which is our circle right here, and then times the height. Okay, so these are the 4 formulas that we will be using. So we're going to do just a couple examples here. So let's look at this first example. So we have a prism, and as we talked about before, we want to make sure that our bases are the two parallel congruent sides. So if we look, our bases come from the two trapezoids. So we have trapezoid bases right here, and so I have that in turquoise. And so for our trapezoid, it's 1/2 times the height times base 1 plus base 2. So I need to find the area of this base, and then I need to multiply it by the height. So for that trapezoid, 1/2, the height of the trapezoid, so just to clarify, height of the trapezoid, not height of the prism, that is 3. And then my bases are 2.8 and 8.1. So the area of just this front trapezoid, my base, is 16.35. So now that I know the area of my base, I need to multiply it by its height. And this prism is on its side, right? It's the same way as if I held the candle like this. So I took my prism and it's on its side. So the height is not 3. The height is the length that connects the two bases. So again, our length connects our two bases, so wherever that may be. Okay, so this one is 12. So the area of the base is 16.35. The height is 12. So we get 196.2 units cubed. So our units for volume are going to be always in cubed. So we should see that cube measurement there, or that cubed unit. Next, we have a pyramid, and this is a square pyramid, but this could be any shape. It could be an octagon, it could be a nonagon, a triangle, whatever that may be. And the sides are what come to a point. So we're looking specifically at our base of 6 by 6, and our height here is 8. And we'll talk more about this tomorrow, but our height is how tall it is. If you were to take a piece of string and hang it from the ceiling, it would drop straight down, right? It wouldn't drop on an angle, like from this side here. We're talking about how it goes straight down. So that is our height, and we'll talk about finding the difference between those two tomorrow. So I need to do 1/3. The area of my base here is 6 times 6, so I have 1/3 times 36 times 8, which is my height. So I get 96 inches cubed. Okay, so all we're doing here is substituting that into the formula. And our last example here is a cylinder. So my equation is pi r squared h. And again, it's pi r squared because it's a circle. So here I'm given my diameter, and my diameter is 26.8, but I need my radius. So I need to cut that in half. So I get a radius of 13.4. So I do pi times 13.4 squared, and I'm told that my height is 9.8, so I multiply by 9.8. So Math Excel will ask you for two different options. It'll ask you for your answer in terms of pi, and then it will also ask you for your volume with a decimal. In terms of pi just means multiply all of the numbers together that do not have pi, meaning I'm going to multiply 3.14 squared times 9.8. And when I do that, I get 1,756.688 pi. So if I had something like 2 times 10 times pi, my answer would be 20 pi. It's just like how we will leave a final answer with something like 2x. Think of pi as a variable. So then if we want our final answer, we get 5,528.22 inches cubed. Be careful if we're looking for a decimal to the 100th, 1,000th, whole number. Just double check your directions on that. So those are all of our notes that we have for today. If you have any questions, hop onto onto office hours, and we'll continue talking about slant height and volume of items around our house. Have a great day, guys.